Welcome. Today's class is 10 pose recharge. So come and join me on your mat. I recommend having a towel or a blanket to pad your knees. First pose, we'll come up sitting nice and tall. Soften the shoulder blades down the spine. Breathe through the nasal passages if you can get your air through them. If not, obviously, resort to the mouth. And soften the muscles of the face. And we'll just get more settled here, more centered, finding our inner axis. It often helps to elongate the back of the neck a little bit, not hugging the chin back, but basically not jutting it up and forward. Let the shoulder blades just release gently down the back. Take a full inhale and sigh that right out. Once more, inhale. And let it go. Bring your hands together to your heart and set an intention that just opens yourself towards healing on any level or all levels. We don't need to take a very long time today. This is only 10 postures. And of course, you can tack this on to any other classes that I've taught if you would like. Once you have that intention set, take another inhalation, sigh it out. Nice. So from here, we're going to count this as one posture. We're just going to open the elbows back, interlacing the hands behind the head. The fingers can be all the way interlaced or very partially interlaced. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. We're just giving this posture a little bit more movement so we can get into the spine and shoulders. As you inhale, you open the elbows out, the sternum lifts, not so much the chin, but the sternum more so. And as you exhale, you round in, drape the elbows, drape the head. Inhale, open, and exhale, round. Oh, we're gonna feel so much better after this. And then we'll inhale and open, and exhale, just float the arms down, hands to the legs, and roll the shoulders around a few times. Okay, posture number 2, coming into a little bit more of the spine, shoulders and hips. So you might want to pad your knees here, and we'll come into our all fours position. Now on this one, you'll have a choice. Either keep the fingertips forward, or you can point the fingertips back. If that doesn't bother your wrists, it might just feel really nice for opening the forearms. I'm gonna do that because I've been typing a lot, writing a lot. And we'll just begin to round the spine here like you did seated, but even more so, draping the tailbone, draping the head, and reversing that maybe on an inhalation. It doesn't have to be, but you might want to try that. Heart up, hips lift. Exhaling, rounding. This time maybe draw your organs towards your spine a little bit more actively for a little more core work. And reversing that, opening your heart space. One more time through rounding here. And inhaling, coming all the way up. And then find neutral. Number 3, turning the fingertips forward if they weren't already. Take your hands shoulder width or a little wider. Tuck your toes under. Let's move into the ever wonderful downward facing dog. And we're also going to add some movement with this one. So it's fine to hold postures, and that's great for some reasons, but especially if we're only going to do a short practice, I like to get a little more movement in. Gentle, slower movement to calm the nervous system. So try alternately bending your knees, one then the other, to gain a little more access to the back of your legs, to your calf muscles, your Achilles tendons, hamstrings. And then stop that pedaling out and slowly is key, swish your hips side to side. So slow movement actually is calming for the vagus nerve. So keep it nice and slow, but don't hold the breath. Sometimes when we move slower, we hold the breath. Don't do that. And then the last change we'll make in this posture is to turn the heels in and the toes out. The feet are still about a foot apart or a little bit less if you like. And you can go back and forth still with those hips. And then we'll do a slightly pigeon-toed position where the toes are in and the heels are out, either holding it there and breathing or with your slow sway. Turn the toes forward, lower the knees back down. And we get to do a beautiful child's pose for pose number 4, I think we're on. So reaching the arms forward or even to the sides or even back with the palms up. Forehead can be down on the floor or on a block or even a bolster or blanket. Now, for a lot of us, this pose is a bit too much. We don't quite have that ability in the hips yet. So maybe the forearms come down and you're here. You could also be in more of a puppy pose here where the hips are lifted if that's better on your knees, and just breathe. What this does is it brings us that sense of calm when we're rooted with the earth and our hands are touching down on the floor. So if you feel chaotic, come to the ground, breathe here. Knees can be together or separated or anywhere in between. For pose number 5, we'll go ahead and we will do 2 sides of this. So you'll step 1 foot forward. Fingertips can come down to the floor on either side of the foot or even to blocks here or anything that you have. You can scoot your back knee back to whatever distance brings you a nice feeling of spaciousness across that back hip. And what I don't want you to do is collapse the pelvis and lift the heart and kind of lose the core. So you're drawing the organs gently back towards the spine, breathing here. You don't have to look forward or even up, okay? Just breathe and get that sense of opening into the hips. And we're gonna do something a little weird here. We're gonna make a circle. It's such a tiny circle because I'm not actually coming in and out of the posture like so. I'm actually keeping the pelvis forward and making the ittiest bittiest circle in the world, and it's not a perfect circle. Just gaining access to a little more stretch, a little bit more of the hip and even the groin. Breathing here. Whew. This is really good if you've been sitting a lot as well. And we want to stretch our hip flexors and also strengthen them. So from here, now we will take the hips further back and go ahead and just switch sides. So you can keep the fingertips down to step forward or you can come up to step forward, whatever works. And then again, you might heel toe the front foot a little more forward, scooch the back knee a little bit back, and acclimate. So a lot of times we're in a rush. Don't be in a rush here. Be in that marination, okay, where so you're marinating in the posture, and then add that little bit of, it's a rotation of sorts. Even if you just wanted to go a little side to side, that will be sufficient. And breathing some luxurious breaths through the body, giving yourself that sweet intention that you don't need to be doing anything else right now. You can reverse directions if you want, or you can stay in one direction. Really make time for your movement. Even if it's just 10 postures, it's way better than nothing. Relax at the jaw. And now shift the hips back, take the knee back, and we're going to come into just a momentary downward facing dog, and then we'll come into our next posture, posture number 6. So come into your downward dog. And then from here, posture number 6, drawing into your plank pose and breathing here. So I wanted to put a really active pose within this to get the heart rate a little bit up and to really remind us of strength. You can always put your knees down in plank pose, and you don't want to collapse here. So you're drawing the organs gently towards the spine, whether you're in full or knees down plank. They're both great. 3, 2, 1, and lower the knees. Move a little bit back and take your blanket or towel out of the way. And for posture number 7, we'll come into our fold at the back of our mat. Hips are the distance apart that just feels the best for you. So your body is going to give you messaging that I can't feel. So I want you to listen to that, and you can play with different positions of the feet, even turning the toes out or the toes in like we did in our downward facing dog. A little swish and sway, giving ourselves that breathing time, and again, that time to acclimate. Slowly transitioning up for number 8, we'll round all the way to stand. Bloom the shoulders back, roll the shoulders back. And for 8, we'll do both sides. This is a high lunge position. So go ahead and step 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, doesn't matter, we'll do both sides. And you can heel toe back enough, kind of like you did in your knee down lunge, until you feel that nice stretch across the front of your hip and a little more strengthening going on in that front leg. You have the option of hands to heart, arms up, reaching back, hands to waist, or even if you want more of a shoulder opener today, adding an interlacing of the hands. If you generally interlace and take the heels of the hands away and pull at the wrists, that might not feel as good as trying to take the heel of the hands closer together, as long as there's enough space in the pectorals and the shoulders to do that. Breathing here. For those of you who really want to add a back bend, roll the shoulder blades onto the back, lift the sternum, and maybe by lifting the sternum, you can lift the gaze a little bit, but don't kind of disconnect the head and send the head way back. Let the arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then from here, you can either step forward, like so, maybe a couple steps, or you can spring back, okay? Whichever one. And then we'll come to the other side, whether you're stepping forward or back to create your lunge. Make sure there's enough distance widthwise between the feet. Hand position is your choice. Where do the arms want to be? If you did interlacing last time, I do recommend possibly adding it on and putting the other finger on top this time from the one you chose last time. It does make a little change, not only through the shoulders and the back, but also in the brain. So when you do something that's unfamiliar, it might make you feel a little cranky for a little while, but then breathe and acclimate. Maybe take that heart up. Keep breathing. If looking up or taking that heart up is too much, neutralize that work. If it becomes too much, take the arms out of the equation. Not fully, I mean, hands still at the heart is something. And then you're either going to kind of lean forward and step up, or you can step back and shake that out. And for 9, it's going to be a movement posture, really lackadaisical, taking the feet wider than the hips, and we're going to feel, as we move a little bit quickly side to side, opposite heel lifting, we're going to feel the blood moving into the hands and fingertips because we are driving around that kind of centrifugal force, right? Finding the little bit of twist happening and that freeness in the shoulders. Again, really make sure that you're allowing the pelvis to turn a little bit, so there's a turn and a twist going on, and the opposite heel is lifting. This also sends a message to the nervous system like la-di-da, like you're a kid, no care in the world. Oops, watch your fingers on your wall. And then come back to center, hands over your heart. Mountain pose for 10. Breathing here. I chose mountain pose as our ending posture because I want you to feel your alignment, your true alignment after giving yourself some space to breathe and open. And standing up with that full sense of self and finding that feeling of being complete, of whole, nothing disjointed, nothing fragmented. Bring everything as one. Head over shoulders, over pelvis, over feet. And speaking of feet, sense into your feet and notice if you want to change your stance. If you feel a little off balance, you might widen your stance and find yourself rooting gently your weight through the big toe ball joint, pinky toe ball joint, and the center of your heels. Slow your breath. Close your eyes if balance will allow. Yes, this is a balance posture. Especially when you close your eyes, this becomes a balance posture because our eyesight is a large part of our balance. And then if you have your hands over your heart like I do, you might switch the other one on top. Again, changing our habitual movement, getting out of those patterns a little bit. Now feel free to stay here with this breath a little while longer. If you're in that big hurry and you're ready to walk into the rest of your day, Feel free to walk right from here, standing up within your authentic self, your highest self. If you would like to add pose number 11, a little bonus pose, you'll come on down to your mat and find a Shavasana. Maybe hugging the knees in, and then taking yourself into that release. Again, being next to the floor, but this time back body next to the floor. Arms where you want them. If it feels better for your low back to have your knees bent, you could of course do that, or even legs up the wall or on a chair. Breathe yourself fully. And recognize that you didn't need a super long hour practice or more to get into the body and the breath and feel hopefully a little closer to your center. Let the belly and chest just rise and fall naturally with your breathing. Take a full body stretch, reach up behind you, reach your legs forward. Inhale, get long. And sigh out. Release your arms down by your sides, bend the knees if they weren't, and then come over onto your side and press up to seated. So know that even if you don't turn on a video with me, you can do 10 postures you know, or 5 postures, or 1 posture. Let's baby step in the direction of health and know that a few steps in the right direction is still getting you closer to where you want to go. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.